Good evening, everyone. We are the Group 5, and tonight we're going to tackle our reportings, the introduction to academic writing and understanding the academic writing. First, I will be the one to tackle the what is academic writing. Students, professors, and researchers in every discipline use academic writing to convey ideas, make arguments, and engage in scholarly conversation. Academic writing is characterized by evidence-based arguments, precise word choice, logical organization, and an impersonal tone. Sometimes thought as long-winded or inaccessible strong academic writing is quite the opposite. It informs and analyzes and persuades in straightforward manner, and enables the reader to engage critically in scholarly dialogue. Academic writing is, of course, any formal written work produced in an academic setting. While academic writing comes in many forms, the following are some of the most common. First is literary analysis. A literary analysis examines, evaluates, and makes an argument about literary work. As its name suggests, a literary work goes beyond mere summarization. It requires careful close reading of one or multiple texts and often focuses on a specific characteristics, theme, or motive. Second is research paper. A research paper uses outside information to support a thesis or make an argument. Research papers are written in all disciplines and may be evaluative, analytical, or critical in nature. Common research sources include data are the primary sources. The example are historical records, and the secondary sources are peer-reviewed scholarly articles. Writing a research paper involves synthesizing this external information with your own ideas. Dissertation. A dissertation or a thesis is a document submitted at the conclusion of a PhD program. The dissertation is a book length and summarization of the doctoral candidate's research. Academic papers may be done as a part of a class, in a program of study, or for publication in an academic journal or scholarly book of articles around a theme by different authors.
Good day, everyone. Now let's move on to the characteristics of academic writing. Most academic disciplines employ their own stylistic conventions. However, all academic writing shares certain characteristics. First, we have this clear and limited focus. The focus of an academic paper, the argument or research question, is established early by the thesis statement. Every paragraph and sentence of the paper connects back to that primary focus. While the paper may include background or contextual information, all content serves the purpose of supporting the thesis statement. We should make sure that our ideas is connected to our thesis statement so that our readers can clearly understand of our academic writing. Second characteristic is the logical structure. All academic writing follows a logical, straightforward structure. In its simplest form, academic writing includes an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The introduction provides background information, lays out the scope and direction of the essay, and states the thesis. The body paragraphs support the thesis statement, with each body paragraph elaborating on one supporting point. The conclusion refers back to the thesis, summarizes the main points, and highlights the implications of the paper findings. Each sentence and paragraph logically connects in the next in order to present a clear argument. Let's make sure that in writing academic, it should be followed in a logical structure. Next, let's also consider this characteristic, which is the evidence-based arguments. Academic writing requires well-informed arguments. Statements must be supported by evidence. whether from scholarly sources as in a research paper, results of a study or experiment, or quotations from a primary text, as in a literary analysis essay. The use of evidence gives credibility to an argument. If we are going to present an argument, it should have reliable evidences to persuade the readers that our academic writing is trustworthy. Last characteristic that we should consider is the impersonal tone. The goal of academic writing is to convey a logical argument from an objective standpoint. Academic writing avoids emotional, inflammatory, or otherwise biased language. Whether you personally agree or disagree with an idea, it must be presented accurately and objectively in your paper. Let's avoid also using personal pronouns such as I and you, and phrases such as in my opinion. These expressions allow us to achieve an impersonal style and present our arguments and ideas objectively rather than subjectively. So, this is the last characteristic that we should consider, and most published papers also have abstracts, brief summaries of the most important points of the paper. Abstracts appear in academic database search results so that readers can quickly determine whether the paper is pertinent to their own research. That's all. Thank you.
So, the importance of thesis statements. What is a thesis statement? For those who are not familiar with the thesis statement, consider this scenario. Let's say you've just finished your analytical essay for your literature class. If a peer or professor asks you what the essay is about or what the point of the essay is, you should be able to respond in a clear and concise single sentence. That single sentence is your thesis statement. The thesis statement is found at the end of the first paragraph. It is a one-sentence encapsulation of your essay's main idea. It presents an overarching argument and may also identify the main support points for the argument. In essence, the thesis statement is a roadmap telling the reader where the paper is going and how it will get there. So what is the importance of thesis statement? Thesis statement plays an important role in the writing process. Once you've written a thesis statement, you've established a clear focus for your paper. Frequently referring back and forth to the thesis statement will prevent you from straying off topic during drafting phase. Because as I've mentioned earlier, it is a roadmap that tells the reader where it's going, so it also tells you where your paper should go from there. Of course, the thesis statement can and should be revised to reflect changes in content or direction of the paper. The ultimate goal of a thesis statement is to capture the main idea of your paper with clarity and specificity. Case studies. So a case study is a qualitative, descriptive piece often containing narrative elements which seeks to explore a particular situation or sequence of events in a non-prescriptive way. Where case studies are written by students, their function is often to illustrate a larger, general theme as a part of a longer research-based piece, such as theses or dissertations. Conclusions may either be drawn by the author or left open to the interpretation of the readers. Writing a case study is quite similar to writing a short story. Both contains narrative elements and can be left with an open ending for the readers to have their own interpretation of the conclusion. So while recognizing that no observer or researcher can ever honestly claim to provide an unbiased point of view, the writer of a case study must make a conscious effort to refrain from distorting the situation being described by his or her beliefs, prejudices, and assumptions. The case study writer must define his or her objectives and should always remain neutral. As far as possible, the subjects of the study should be allowed to speak for themselves and should be quoted in context whenever the opportunity arises.
Making and academic writing. Academic writers from every field face similar challenges during the writing process. You can improve your own academic writing by avoiding this common mistake. Number 1, wordiness. By making an academic writing, it is to convey ideas into a clear and concise manner. Number 2, a vague or missing statement. By making an academic paper, the statement must be clear and the paragraph needs to tie to the thesis. Number 3, informal language. By making an academic writing, you should use formal tone and avoid using idioms, slang, and conversational language. Number 4, description without analysis. You should analyze the argument and relate it to the point. Number 5, not citing sources. The writing process must be listed the sources to avoid plagiarism, especially by using or making an academic writing.
So for the next topic is understanding the academic writing.
Structuring written work. The structure required for any piece of written work will depend upon the nature of that work. It usually be clear from the instructions or context what form it should take. Thus, exposition of an idea, development of an argument, or critical discussion of a topic generally best achieved by use of an essay form. Presentation, summarizing, and tabulation of data are most clearly seen in reports. Detailed description or narrative relating to specific people, organizations, or events is best set out as a case study. Extended exposition of theory or research calls for an extended form such as thesis or dissertation. If you are being asked to submit a piece of work for assessment and there is any uncertainty about the format you are expected to adapt for the piece, it is always wisest to check with your tutor as the person marking the assignment whether they require a specific structure or whether this is a matter for your own judgments. So these are the example of tabulation data. Thank you.
Essays. An essay is a continuous piece of writing without subheading or discrete bullet points. The aim is for you to show your knowledge and understanding of a given topic or subject area within your study, often used for a critical or evaluative perspective. So, from making an essay, it should be a continuous piece of writing and also it showcases your knowledge and understanding for a given topic. A well-written essay draws together ideas and information from a number of different sources and analysis. This, according to logic, established theory and the interpretation of other authors' work. So, it should be a well-written essay and also the ideas must be reliable and different sources and analysis according to logic. Aim to develop an argument through your essay. This means planning in some considerable details how the essay will flow from one idea to the next. So it should be have a flow. It should be have a background idea so that you can construct the flow of your essay. How different truths and arguments from different authors will be introduced. What conclusion will be reached and how they will be supported by relevant evidence or deductive reasoning. All of these factors need to be thought through and decided before you begin the actual writing of the essay. The thinking, analysis, and critical evaluation of the ideas should be ideally happen during the reading and planning stage of the essay. Learning the flow of words of energy during the final writing phase. Inevitably, you will sometimes be stuck by a new thought or insight as you are writing, but when this happens, go back to your essay plan and alter it in the light of this new concept rather than think to fit a discordant or out of sequence idea into an existing structure. So, the essay must have a critical evaluation so that you can ideally and plan it properly. So, this is the sample essay, and the essay must compose of introduction, development, conclusion, bibliography. Introduction must compose of how it is interesting, what is the topic, and also number 2, development. It composed the strengths and weaknesses. Conclusion. Summarize the main points. Bibliography. Listing of sources by writing the essay. The simple approach can be elaborated and adapted in a variety of ways depending on the precise nature and function of the essay you are writing. The important thing to establish what you are trying to say in the essay plan is in order to deliver that message in a coherent and convincing manner as possible. So the essay must have trying to establish in order the essay must have a coherent and convincing manner as possible.
Reports are generally written in order to provide clear information about specific situations and to enable sensible decisions to be made, often on the basis of recommendations. Included in the report, clarity and organization of data are therefore of paramount importance when writing report. The structure of the report should be transparent and intuitively easy for anyone with an interest in the topic to pick up and to find the information they are looking for. For this reason, a detailed contents page is vital and the use of sequentially numbered or lettered subsections is considered ideal. The body of a report should be as short as possible using conscious phrasing and presenting data in graphical form, wherever this helps to convey the essential sense of the information more clearly. By the same token, too much numerical information is best avoided as many people to find it difficult to assimilate large quantities of data in number form. In order to keep your reports as to point as possible, strip out detailed explanations, calculations, and supporting materials from the body of the document. If this information is important to the understanding or validity of your conclusion, it can be added in appendices to the back of the report, where you draw a conclusion or allude to a fact that is detailed in appendix. You must refer to it in the text so that a reader can check it easily. A suggested report structure might be title page. The title page include the titles of the report, author's name, and date of submission. Summary, a short section briefly setting out of the problem, main findings and recommendations of the report. A page at the most content page. List the titles of all headings and subheadings as they appear in the report number, as they are numbered in the report, and stating the page number on which they can be found. Exposition of the problem. The exposition of the problem is what research methods have been used to prepare the report and why. How has the problems have been addressed? Are there any significant limitations to the approach taken? Findings. Findings are any results that had been generated by research or evidence uncovered in the body of knowledge. Conclusions or recommendations. These are to summarize key findings, draw a conclusion of greatest relevance in solving the problem as set out above, make recommendation for a course of action or decision based on this conclusion. Bibliography, a comprehensive listing of all the sources used in researching and writing the essay. Ensure that it follows the format required by your institution appendices. This provides background information relevant to the report, but necessarily part of it. They should add to the overall ease of use of the document rather than distract from it. So, these are the examples of report, a format of report. First, we are going to when we're going to write a report, first we need a title page. Second, summary short section, and then and the title page includes author's name and date of submission. Third, means the recommendations of the report. Then the content page. The, then exposition of the problem, the findings and conclusions recommendations. So, and next the bibliography, and that's all. So that is the format of when writing a report.
Case studies. So a case study is a qualitative, descriptive piece, often containing narrative elements which seeks to explore a particular situation or sequence of events in a non-prescriptive way. Where case studies are written by students, Their function is often to illustrate a larger, general theme as a part of a longer research-based piece, such as theses or dissertations. Conclusions may either be drawn by the author or left open to the interpretation of the readers. Writing a case study is quite similar to writing a short story. Both contains narrative elements and can be left with an open ending for the readers to have their own interpretation of the conclusion. So while recognizing that no observer or researcher can ever honestly claim to provide an unbiased point of view, the writer of a case study must make a conscious effort to refrain from distorting the situation being described by his or her beliefs, prejudices, and assumptions. The case study writer must define his or her objectives and should always remain neutral. As far as possible, the subjects of the study should be allowed to speak for themselves and should be quoted in context whenever the opportunity arises. The writer should determine. So here's an example of a case study, a psychology case study to be specific. The case study is written around a problem or situation faced by an individual, the researcher's aunt. It starts with a summary of the history and the background to the situation, followed by a detailed exposition of the problem and the discussion of any actions that have been taken to resolve or change it, or in simple terms, the solutions. So the sample case study has the elements that a good case study should have. First, a time and issue-bounded dilemma. Second, explanations of issues and concepts. Third, a story with vivid characters and moments. Fourth, data and other information. And lastly, scenarios that lead in different directions. So these are the elements that a good case study must have. The right candidate or subject for his or her case study. Get permission, quotes, and other features that will make the study effective. Ethical considerations such as confidentiality, anonymity, and informed consent are important when planning case studies because of the impact that the publication of such material might have on the individuals who contributed to it. Information gathered specifically for the case study and which doesn't already exist in the public domain must be used with care and permission. It should be sought from its sources whenever possible and appropriate. It is important to get in touch with the subjects of the case study to see if they approve of being part of the work or not. Because case studies are accounts of real events, people, and situations, there is no single structure or format which will be appropriate to every instance in which one is written. Many case studies are written around a problem or situation faced by an individual or organization at a particular time. It is customary to start with a summary of their history and background to the situation, followed by a detailed exposition of the problem itself, and finally, to discuss any actions that have been taken to resolve or change it. In some instances, it is appropriate for the case study writer to analyze of these efforts further and to make recommendations accordingly. The case study writer needs to focus on several key issues, why they exist, and how they impact in the research, and then think of the possible unique solutions for it.